What's up guys, I'm Roderick, aka Rodman, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about why I believe that Bloodborne is the greatest Souls game of all time. If you like retro video gaming, anime, and gameplay videos, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more content just like this. So, let's get right into the video. So to start the video, I want to say that there are many aspects that go into why I believe that Bloodborne is the greatest Souls game of all time. But the most important aspect of that is the atmosphere of Bloodborne. It's absolutely stunning and it is so unique. It's something that we have never really experienced before in gaming. Everybody knows that the rest of the Souls games take place in a sort of dark medieval setting, but Bloodborne on the other hand takes place in a gothic Lovecraftian horror type of atmosphere. You can see this in the architecture, you can see this in the weapons, you can see this in the fashion, and you can even see this in the type of enemies that you're fighting in the game, which I will get into a bit later. Dark Souls series in general is an overall dark and gloomy series, but Bloodborne definitely does take the cake when it comes to having a dark atmosphere. You really feel kind of hopeless. It's very decrepit. Everywhere is abandoned. It's just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful atmosphere to traverse through and be a part of. At the end of the day, I don't want to say it becomes boring, but it becomes kind of stale to be in a medieval setting all the time. You're fighting knights all the time. You're fighting dragons all the time. Sometimes you want to be thrown into a world like Bloodborne where you're not fighting knights. You're not fighting dragons. You're fighting grotesque looking enemies, grotesque looking bosses, and you're not using a sword, you're using a saw cleaver. Things like that really do make the atmosphere very special. So let's go ahead and move on to the next part. In the previous segment, I mentioned that Bloodborne offers a variety of very unique enemies and bosses, and that goes into my next point. The creativity of the bosses and the enemies that you fight in Bloodborne, it just brings such a breath of fresh air compared to all the rest of the Souls games, and not even necessarily Souls games, but a lot of just JRPGs, RPGs in general. Most RPGs and JRPGs, you're going to be fighting in a medieval setting. You're going to be going against knights and dragons. You're going to be going against just very common enemies when you think of medieval. So when you're fighting crazy things like Orphan of Kos, you're fighting crazy things like literally any Bloodborne boss. The first one, or the one reborn, like what is that thing? It's so interesting. It's so scary. It brings a level of fear into it, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Because at the end of the day, how scary is it really to fight a dragon for the millionth time? You kind of get used to the shock value. You kind of get used to it. But the enemies are absolutely frightening. Those, I forget what the name of the enemy is, but they grab you and they take you to a whole other city, to Yargul, the city of the unseen. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I was actually genuinely scared when I was getting attacked by those enemies. You don't get that fear playing any other game in the Souls series besides Bloodborne. But let's go ahead and move on to the next segment. As we all know, storytelling in the Souls series can be pretty convoluted, confusing, and very vague at times. But the story in Bloodborne, even though it is quite vague, I believe it offers some of the best storytelling and the best overall story in the series, I believe that I have Bloodborne and eldenring up there tied for the best story in the series. It's very convoluted, it's very confusing. I would definitely be posting a link to the video that explains the story of Bloodborne, but it's very crazy. It has a lot of amazing lore that just expands way past the beginning of your character's journey. I love when games do that. They kind of throw you into the middle of things. For example, Kingdom Hearts does that, and I really do love the aspect that you're a part of a journey that's been going on for a very long time. The characters in Bloodborne are very good as well. That kind of ties into the story aspect. People like Gehrman, people like Ludwig, seeing the background of him and how he got deformed. It's just the lore in this game is just absolutely crazy, and it's heartbreaking. It's emotional, and that's how you know a story and lore is good, is when you feel genuine emotion. Because honestly, in Dark Souls, there aren't a lot of lores or stories that make me sad. Yeah, you got things like Sif that's sad, but other than that, I don't know. It's whatever. But the story of Gehrman, the story of Ludwig, Lady Crow, people like that, is like, it brings genuine emotion to the player, which I believe is very, very good. And you're not going to be getting that aspect in a lot of Souls games. So let's go ahead and move on to the next segment. One aspect that is very important in any Souls game is level design. And I believe that Bloodborne it might not necessarily be the best level design in the series. I believe that Dark Souls 1 probably takes the cake with that, with this interconnectivity and whatnot. But Bloodborne is right up there. I really dislike areas that are extremely linear. For example, in Dark Souls 3, all the levels in that game were extremely linear. You barely could do any exploring. It's kind of like you just went to next area to next area to next area. Bloodborne really does offer a decent amount of exploration in the levels. They're not linear at all. I found myself not knowing where to go a lot of the time, and I would literally just have to look around and find a little, crook here, or find a little cave you can go into to do X, Y, and Z. And it's very, very interesting. And the last thing that I believe is the cherry on top for why I believe Bloodborne is the best Souls game in this entire series is its OST. Now, I believe that Bloodborne has the second best OST in the entire series. I believe Elden Ring definitely takes the cake with OST, but Bloodborne is so close. It's neck and neck. The Hunter's Dream OST is beautiful. You have OSTs like the first Hunter when you fight Gehrman, which is just complete emotional. It's crazy. You guys definitely should sit down and listen to the OSTs when you're playing the game, or you can go on Spotify, listen to it. But that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video, man. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more content just like this. And also, tell me what you guys think is the greatest Souls game of all time is. Ramet out. Peace.